So as I said, I'm in my fourth year of PhD under the supervision of Philippe Bouquillion and Laurent Petit. So my discipline is communication sciences, and the title I chose for my thesis is New Modalities of Educational Industrialization through the spreading of adaptive learning software in France and in the US. So I will start by defining the different terms. So maybe adaptive learning isn't so clear to everyone. So briefly, I'm talking about all the software that adapt exercises, program sequencing of concepts, and testing as well, according to all learning data collected about the student. And then, so let's go now to the next. Yeah, let's see. So what interests me in this kind of technology, first, from software standpoint, is to look at all the researches that are made in the laboratories in France and in the US as well. So there are two main disciplines that enrich these researches. The first one are learning analytics community, and the second is educational data mining. So they differ because educational data mining is more based on the research to enrich the algorithm capacity to teach and to assess independently from the teachers. Whereas learning analytics researches are more based on the human computer interaction. And then, second point, I look at which forms of these researches are then turned into educational softwares. So this point is about how then startups and educational and publishing companies take advantage of these researches to have maybe competitive advantages on their markets. So from a real theoretical perspective, I also look at how these softwares convey educational industrialization, which is a paradigm that we talk a lot about in LabEx in my laboratory after Pierre Meglin has worked a lot about it. By looking at three different characteristics. The technologization, which is the use of technologies that convey several habits and use patterns to the users. Then rationalization, the organization of spirits of efficacy between the users, and the development of ideologies about education. That's the third characteristic, which is ideologization. And then this requires to also to have some questions about stakeholders. So how does a startup ecosystem, which is often called EdTech by these players, develop behind these technologies? And what position do also big tech companies play in this ecosystem? And then I also wonder how do publishing companies, publishers which are more traditional players in these markets, react to this the arrival of new competitive advantages like this. And then in which forms do states and public authorities assist this industrialization, and how do they perceive maybe an opportunity to enrich or to think about the next generation of textbooks? So talking about methodology, well, my methodology is mostly qualitative. First, from software standpoint, I do a lot of interviews of learning analytics and educational data mining affiliated researchers. and with corporate engineers, and tech startup engineers as well. And then I also studied the research papers to understand the orientations of their researches, their beliefs, mostly, yeah. Then I also do some tests about the user experiences. So I have subscribed in many different products, several markets to understand how this educational industrialization that I described earlier is differently targeted by the edtech companies. And then, so from this stakeholder standpoint, I also do interviews with edtech entrepreneurs, educational decision makers. So in this term, I refer to big tech, and also state and public authorities, executives that have to deal with these technologies, to understand also their motivations and their socioeconomic strategies. And at last, I also do analyze the market evolutions and all the governmental calls that exist for these projects to understand the implemented strategies. So I've conducted two case studies about global language learning markets with players like Duolingo, Babel, Rosetta Stone, Monthly, Uzu. And then the second one about early literacy market in the US. You can find in this market Duolingo with a specific application, Duolingo ABC, and then also players from publishers like Scholastic and Smarty Ants, which belongs to McGraw-Hill. And then Lalilo, which is an edtech startup. So maybe we could talk later about that. You can email me, of course, after the webinar. And thank you a lot for your attention.